Episode 17 of Mashle is about to prove so many haters wrong. I don't think there was anything to prove per se, but when I was covering the first cour of Mashle back when it was airing, I remember there was a lot of slander, at least around my comment section, and just stuff I was reading at the time towards a character like Finn. Oh, we've seen this scaredy cat trope, he doesn't do anything, and blah blah blah, basically just there to be a laughingstock, but because it's a comedy, it doesn't really matter. It's like, no, Mashle is actually a really well-written show. It is hilarious, it is absolutely out of pocket, that's a main point of it. But the thing is the actual character interactions and the cast build-up and dynamic is actually quite well written. The scene when Mash comes home and brings all of his friends to his family, and how happy his adoptive father is, like, that's an amazing moment and builds up into so many things. But a character like Finn, I don't remember the last time I've seen that type of dynamic handled in the way they just did. You're going up against a human voodoo doll. Any damage this dude does, he feels nothing, it goes to the other person and he gets patched straight up. Of course, a character like Mash who can out-punch him is probably going to kick his ass. But you have to look at the fact that a character who is looking at Finn, this runaway scaredy cat in his brother's shadow, pathetic, and honestly feels like an embodiment of some of the hate I saw Finn get in the first cour. The fact that he can only appreciate and comprehend what Finn went through in this episode once he has to experience pain for the first time. Because the amount of destruction this man has unapologetically put on other people by being a human voodoo doll. He is one of the legendary, the Master Canes, right? One of the 13, I think it is. He's chosen by one of the best wands out there. And this wand is so deadly that he's slitting throats. He's brutally, savagely hurting people without remorse. He's never felt pain. He has no idea what that is. He just thinks, what a baby. And the fact that as he's bleeding out and pretty much dying on the ground after Mash bodies him, it's only then that he can appreciate that Finn is actually incredible. That for someone else's sake, despite being so powerless and outmatched in comparison, he refused to give in. He does a couple of cool moves that really does give him an edge briefly, but the fact that usually in a scene like this, if the weak character gets saved by the strong character, you don't really feel like, okay, they change, they develop, because they're still powerless, right? Most of these times you feel like either the author builds them into being stronger than they thought, or once again prove that they're nothing. But this author found some middle ground where we still feel like Finn, he has tricks up his sleeve and he did give it his honest shot, but similar to Carpaccio going up against Mash, he had no shot in hell. Finn had no shot in hell against Carpaccio, but the difference between the two is that Finn wouldn't give in into the face of someone being stronger where this man did. That's 10 out of 10 character writing. And any haters who says otherwise, I'm sorry, you are completely wrong in my opinion. I have a full live reaction to probably the best episode of Mashle, period. I'm putting it out there. Over on my Patreon, if you want to see my full uncut thoughts, they're over there. This was a 10 out of 10 episode. I plan on rewatching this episode later tonight, just enjoying it all in its glory. I've always considered Finn to be one of the stronger characters in this show. I think he's the most logical in the face of bullshit. He has every right to be scared. I mean, literally, you have two dumbasses on your team who smashed their crystal before this started. You have to take care of your crystal. You do feel powerless. You do feel like you're in your family's shadow. And then you stumble upon a man who's literally savagely stabbing someone or himself, which then gives the wounds to him. My boy just wanted to be a wall, and I don't blame him at all. But you have to admit, his skill and what he did there was actually pretty intelligent. He's not going to out-magic this guy. There's no way. Like, I wasn't even sure if Mash could, because once you start seeing like, oh, you do any damage, it gets thrown back, I was like, honestly, it had me a little worried that we're going to have like a 3-on-1 or something. I wasn't sure. Either way, the idea of pretending to cast a magic attack, it's basically debating him, right? It's thinking that, oh, the ceiling's gonna fall on him or something like that. Instead, it was just a distraction so he could run, and as he's going down the stairs, he uses a real spell which teleports them and moves them around. Really good move. I don't know, I honestly thought the author was trying to build Finn into being a character who was gonna stand his ground, either come very close to defeating Carpaccio or, would actually do it. Because often with a character like this, they just need that boost of confidence. And in this case, he knows if he breaks that crystal, loses that crystal, it's game over. No one's gonna pass in their team. So I thought that's where they're going. And instead, Mash comes in with that Hulk smash, and we get what we end up getting, which was another amazingly animated fight. I saw a couple people in my comment section last week mention it, and I completely agree. Like, the fight scenes in this season, like this cour, are so much more refined than that of cour 1. I liked how cour 1 looked, I very much enjoyed the style, but it feels like there's a lot more movement. Like the scene when all of the syringes are falling on the ground as he's dodging and playing tennis with this man's face. I mean, technically it's the JoJo stand that's behind him, but still, like, you know, a lead wand being turned into a tennis racket and then the ball, and just how does he come up with these things? I don't know. But if there's anyone in that crowd who collectively thinks Mash doesn't belong in the world of magic after he just stomps on everyone in this exam, I mean, they're absolutely fools. And I think their dumbfounded face probably says that they're getting on the Team Mash train, but that's just me. It's just so smooth, it's so great. And honestly, the fact that we have what is equivalent to a JoJo stand here, and the fact that Aura-Ring is the way you defeat that thing, is just absolutely fantastic. But I'm a huge fan of like human voodoo dolls. You apply damage to yourself, you give it to another person. And honestly, you don't see that type of magic a lot in anime. I could probably count on a few fingers how many times I've personally seen it. I've seen it in a lot of live action series, I've seen it in video games. It's just underutilized. It's kind of like blood magic. It's not as used as much as I would enjoy, just because I think it's a really cool concept. So seeing a character who literally establishes that he's never felt pain, it makes a lot of sense, because when you think about being a kid, right, a lot of the way your parents will teach you is that, oh, you know, you hurt yourself because you ran too quickly, you fell on your face. Don't do that, that hurts, be more careful, right? But when you're so desensitized to pain, that's gonna skew your mindset, and we can very clearly see how it skewed his as this, 16, 17-year-old kid who's basically, I'll slit your throat just because I can, because that's my magic, that's what I do. I really don't know what happened to that first guy he bodied, that did not look good. But the fact that you can so unapologetically hurt someone because you have no concept of pain. I mean, yes, there's baddies that we're going to fight in the show and have fought that, you know, also have a similar twisted mindset, but not to the same degree of that savagery, right? And it's just so well done the more you think of it. Like Mashle, I feel like what this cour has done is, when you look at the first cour and how absolutely out of pocket and hilarious it was and how much it left me rolling, this is my favorite comedy anime. Like, I keep saying that, and people are like, what about this anime? It's like, no, like, this is my favorite comedy anime. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's how strongly I feel with the comedy direction. But the thing is when the show's not making me laugh, I legit love the character dynamics, the relationships, the story of someone surpassing magic with pure muscle. And honestly, if somehow a wand did choose Mash in this show, like there's a muscle magic wand or something, I feel like with the way Mash is, he wouldn't use it, because it would kind of go against his character, because the whole idea of not being able to fit in unless you are, you know, similar to society would go against the theme of Mashle, it seems. So it's like, I just love what they're doing. I love how Mash he's him, but Finn's also him with what he just did. And honestly, bravo to my boy. Definitely a top 3 character in my opinion. And honestly, Carpaccio, probably my favorite antagonist we've gone up against. Let me know your thoughts and feelings though down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we have Kanagi, Miguel Francis, Amy, Niemand, Dark Lord Dashi, and Opais. I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.